Hello, BBYO. My name is Hannah Alper from Lake Ontario region, and I am coming to you from International Convention 2021. And it's such an exciting weekend. And while we are all watching from the comfort of our own homes, something that I think is so amazing is that we are able to hear from so many inspiring speakers, including Karla Martinez de Salas, the Vogue Mexico and Latin America editor in chief. Hi, Carla. We're so excited to have you.
Hi, Hannah. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a really fun day.
Yeah, so you've been speaking in front of thousands of Jewish teens from around the world who have truly been so inspired by everything that you're saying. So tell me about how you've been feeling.
Good. I mean, I started the morning a bit early because of the time change, but it was just really great to listen and to be able to share my story with different teens around the world. The first session was really teens from, we had people from Hungary, Poland, Israel. It was really amazing. And then the last session that we did was Latin American students. So that was really, really great.
That's so special. And you have one of the coolest jobs in the world, and you've worked at so many different companies, and now you are editor in chief of Vogue Latin America and Mexico. What is your favorite part of your job?
Oh goodness, there's so much. I feel so blessed to be in an industry that thrives on creativity and that celebrates um, fashion, beauty, culture. I think one of the my most favorite parts of the job is every month when we release our cover and it's someone, just the photography part and the part of showing like discovering someone, right? Like whether it be a model, whether it be a chef, someone that we've been longing to work for. So for April, for example, our cover is someone really exciting, a Latin American living in the US that's a big musical star. So I love the aspect of discovery and showing our audience like how Vogue Latin America photographed this person and what kind of an interview we had. So I think that's something that really makes me excited about my job.
I also love that you show so many diverse people on your cover, including recent an Indigenous woman. And I thought that that was just so amazing and truly shines light on so many important issues. So, speaking of important issues, as an activist, I felt like that I needed to ask you about Project Paws, a charity that you helped start in 2010. And Project Paws helps support young victims affected by drug related violence in Mexico. What made you want to start the charity? And do you have any advice for young people who want to make the world better?
Well, I think it's thank you so much that for asking that question because it's really a very special charity. And it was, when I was living in New York at the time in 2009, and all the news that kept coming out of Mexico was, so and so people killed in this place, so and so people killed in that place, and all the bad things that kept coming out. And there were so many organizations in Ciudad Juarez, which is across the border from where I grew up in El Paso. There were so many people working with the community, trying to help underprivileged youth find their voices and have a safe place to go. Because, a lot of kids, as come from broken homes and single parent families where the mom is off at work. So of course, it's easy for those children to fall into delinquency just because of lack of resources. And so we really wanted to help underprivileged kids in Mexico and work with El Paso Community Foundation that has been working with various charities in Juarez and El Paso to help make their lives better. Just this past year, we did something very specific and targeted to those that had, lost jobs due to COVID and because of lockdown. So a few of the girls from Juarez through Project Paz made, baskets for that people could pick up that were having trouble finding jobs, and they knew they could go to a center and get a basket of food for their families to last them a month. So it's something really special. I'm really inspired by young children that I see even on Instagram that uh, host coat drives and now I feel like through social media we're able to help. And my friend's son, my friend Jana Shapiro, her son, donated more than 100 coats to young kids in New York, just through social media. So I feel like there is there's something really special about the youth now. And I feel like people are so young kids are so inspired to help others, which is amazing. And another friend of mine, Dana Rubin, her son, instead of for his bar mitzvah getting gifts, he took that money and gave sneakers to underprivileged kids in El Paso. So I think the fact that so many young kids have this altruistic chip in them is really amazing.
I think that young people in our generation can be so overlooked sometimes, but it's clear that, they're making so much change in the world. And I think it's so amazing to see. And, it's so great to hear that adults like you and successful adults like you want to hear us and hear our ideas and all that kind of stuff. So thank you for listening to us. You've worked at so many different publications, from Vogue to T to W and all that kind of stuff. How has journalism and print media changed over the last few years?
Oh goodness, so much. I remember working at the New York Times, and the poor guy that was in charge of social media came to my desk and was like, "Now you have to use something called Twitter." And I was like, "I'm not using Twitter. Who wants to hear, 50, words of what I have to say?" Well, I always tell that story because it's amazing how everything has changed since 2008 and 2009, when all those social media social media apps took over our lives. I think, and one thing I was saying earlier is that, we used to go to fashion shows, or when I started going to fashion shows in 2006, when I started working at the New York Times, there were a few select editors, the press from magazines around the world, and, maybe some buyers and some friends at the house. And that is what made up, the front row and the rows at fashion shows, right? And now, I remember the minute when Brian Boy took his seat in the front row and everyone was like, "Oh my God, there's an influencer in the front row. How dare this happen?" And now it's just the norm, right? And so I feel like there's so many voices now in the fashion industry. I mean, if I asked you how many people you follow related to fashion on your phone, I'm sure you would name at least, 100 people, right? So I do feel like it's become more democratic in that way, and there's new voices. But at the same time, I feel like magazines have really had to expand the way that they communicate with their readers. I think that just in the same way that we have become more democratic, I do feel like magazines have had to kind of loosen up a bit. I feel like before, like, wouldn't dare talk to, send a message to like the magazine editor, and now that's changing. And the magazines have becoming more approachable, and their content at the same time. So, and now you have everything from podcasts to videos and different ways to interact with your favorite websites, right? So I feel like all of those things, I think the internet has really changed that significantly.
You have definitely become one of the people that I have recently followed involving fashion and my generation and style and everything like that, and so I'm really excited to follow you. If you
Oh,
could
thank you.
repeat some, yes, and I'm sure everyone else will too, obviously, but if you could repeat something, a mantra or a motto to yourself every day in the mirror, what would it be? I love asking this question. I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No, no, no. I think it's a great question. Um, my dad always told me something that I think about every single day. And he was an immigrant. He came to the US after medical school, and to do his residency. And he always used to say, "Karla, first you don't eat your ice cream before you eat your dinner." Right. And so I think he always said, "What does that mean?" And it says, if you want to be an assistant, you put the work in as an intern. if you want to be an editor, you put the work in as an assistant, right? You don't jump all these steps, because all of those steps, whether you realize when you're doing them or not, are really great learning experiences and stepping stones. So that is something that has really helped me my whole life, even it even pertains to buying something that you can't afford. It's like, why buy it if there's a whole series of steps like saving money that you haven't done, right? So I feel like it's a phrase that I repeat to myself and I think about all the time. And I think about it especially now because I know that there was a big, generation after mine that, they didn't have to stay in their jobs. If they didn't like it, they left their job. And with me, it was like, I didn't like my job in New York. I had to find another job because no one was going to come pay my rent for me. I had to pay for my rent myself, or else I had to go home and move back to El Paso, and I didn't want to do that. So that was obvious. That mantra has always been really important to me.
Right, and well, it makes sense because you didn't just get to where you are by jumping all the steps, like you said, you worked at so many different publications and you worked at Vogue for 4.5 years, I believe, as an editor before even going to Latin America as editor-in-chief, which is just really does prove that it takes hard work, but that you really can get to where you want. So my final question is that in BBYO, our tagline and our slogan for this year is United We Rise, which I believe is very fitting with everything that is going on in the world. So what does United We Rise mean to you, Karla?
Oh, I think it means so much. And I think it's a great slogan because, in this past year, I mean, I think all of us in a certain way have learned that we're not the only person manning a ship, right? Everything from in our personal lives to, our work, and like at Vogue, Mexico and Latin America, like that is such like being united is so important now more than anything. We've been apart like physically, but every day we've connected and we've come up with really great ideas by uniting what we want to say. And also I give another example. For example, with Vogue, for example, we have 27 global editions. And in September, we launched the Vogue Hope Initiative, which was amazing. And we all worked together and submitted a photograph that represented hope to all of us. And it was, broadcast throughout 27 different countries, which is amazing. And, people in Japan could see, what hope means in Mexico and vice versa. So I think that made us really strong. For the March issue, we have a common message, which is about creativity and creativity in our industry. And so I love the slogan, and I think it means so much in it on a personal and professional level. I think that united, you can really do great things. And we've seen what fracturing people does in the world. And so I really think that now more than ever, it's so important to be united and to, give a message of union.
I completely agree,
Unity.
and it's clear. Yeah, yes, completely. United we rise, and it's clear that all of us in BBYO definitely share a lot of the same values with you and everything that you do. And thank you so much for being here over the last day and for sitting here with me and having this amazing conversation. I know that I'm going to leave feeling inspired and ready to take on activism and journalism and everything like that, as I'm sure that everyone that heard you today with at BBYO is inspired to. And just thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Hannah. I'm so excited to be here and to spend time with the kids today. It was really amazing, and I'm excited to see what you do, and I'm going to follow you too.
Thank you.